Good evening, everyone. My name is Tone Vase. It's another edition of the General Market Analysis covering all the major markets. Today, right now, it's 7:30 p.m. East Coast time, ET time. I'm in New York. And it's October 30th. I usually do these on Sunday in order to get ready for the start of the week. All right, so before I go on, my upcoming travel schedule, I will be speaking in Argentina. Fuck. Hold on a second, guys. All right, here we go. Sorry, I'm still a little new to blogging, so it's not worth it to reshoot the whole thing over 30 seconds. So my travel schedule is right there. I'll be in Argentina next week. Speaking there. After that, I will be speaking in Russia. I will be back in the US in order to vote in the elections because that seems to be kind of important. Okay, if you look at my blog, there is a really good video talking about Zcash, which is an interesting thing over in the crypto space. I know not everyone that follows me follows the crypto space. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the markets. All right, so the first thing, as I usually do, I try to take the weekend off. I don't really pay attention to the stock markets over the weekend as everything is closed. And futures opened about an hour ago. So we can already see oil is down a little bit. Gold is up a little bit. Stock markets are flat. And the VIX is up a little bit. US dollar is flat. Nothing really. I don't know if I'm going to get into the grains and some of the other commodities. Maybe later on in this podcast, maybe going into next year when I'm way more organized. All right, let's jump right into the markets. I want to try and get this done in 20 minutes. Here's the S&P 500, and it actually did exactly what I was expecting from the previous videos. We pulled up into the 50-day moving average. I know it's a little small, but we put in I'm gonna put the wrong color in there, but that's okay. It should have been a green arrow, so we're gonna stick with the red arrow. And then after we hit the 50-day moving average, we're pulling down. Okay. Now in between those, what you had is, it's not an ideal reversal candle, but it is a reversal candle. It has a little wick. I like my shooting stars. It was a cross between a shooting star and a doji. So it's definitely a reversal candle after about a week of upside. And it certainly came after a very clear hammer doji style candle, which was definitely a reversal candle. So now we're headed down. And if you look, you see, make this red again, our momentum indicators are all showing that momentum is to the downside. So I am expecting the drop in prices to probably continue into next week. As you know, I've talked a lot about the election. And to me, the election, if Hillary is expected to win, the market will rise into the election. If Trump is expected to win, the market will drop into the election. And I will try and do another video this Wednesday. I leave for Argentina Wednesday night. So maybe I'll do one of these Wednesday afternoon, even while the market might still be open. Otherwise, I may not make my flight. Just to get it closer to the election, just to see how we're doing. And I'll try and get one out this weekend as well. So I'll talk more about the election then. But on the election day, it's very important. I have an expectation. Now, of course, things will probably not happen like I'm expecting. But what I'm thinking is, if Trump wins, and it will kind of be a surprise, and if he wins, the markets will crash. Now, I believe Trump is good long term for the market, but people will crash the markets to prove a point because nobody wants Trump to win. At least nobody currently in government or nobody currently in Wall Street wants Trump to win. I guess the people kind of do, but those in power don't. So if Trump surprise wins, those in power will kind of temporarily crash the market to kind of show their strength, and it will recover. Now, if Hillary wins, the opposite will happen. If Hillary wins, I expect everyone to just cheer, and the market will, I guess, have some euphoria to go straight up. But then the realization of pure socialist winning the US election for another 4 years is going to be very, very bad for the economy. So that realization might come in later on in the month, and then the market will probably correct, and then we take it from there. So that's really about it. It looks like we have closed right at the lows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this line back up. I think we've had this line here before. This is my line in the sand. It's at around 2120. If we close under 2120 and then open the following day and start trading lower than 2120, I would be very, very bearish, looking for, let's see here. Yep, I would be bearish, looking for the 200-day moving average. But again, everything will hinder on the election. Let's have a quick look at the weekly, make sure we're not missing anything. I haven't seen this chart in a week, actually, so let's see what happens here. All right, so we have the same line in the sand. It's very clear on this chart that it's right around here. It's the same 2120. And let's see if we can close below it, especially on a weekly basis. There is definitely room for the 50-week moving average. Oh, why is that? There you go. Definitely room for the 50-week moving average, but the election would have come, so everything can change. But yeah, if you look on the weekly, we are about to cross the Mendoza line of 50, and the MACD has been bearish for quite a while, still pointing down. So the weekly chart isn't healthy at all. Once we start trading below 2120, things might break down quickly. Let's have a quick peek at the NASDAQ, and this is interesting. Over here, we have a close under the 50-day moving average, which is starting to flatten out. So that's kind of bad, but the NASDAQ has been doing very, very well, and it's definitely been keeping everything up. I don't usually talk about individual stocks, but Netflix had a great earnings, but then Amazon had pretty bad earnings and the stock dropped about $50. Google held up flat, and trying to remember what Apple did. I think Apple did fall a little bit. It pulled back up, and now it's starting to come down again. So NASDAQ might be coming down. It's the same thing. So you look at the round 4,800 number, and if we fall below that, but NASDAQ has way more support than the S&P 500 does. You can put a support line. You can draw a support line over here on the previous closing low, and after that you have the 200-day moving average. Our momentums did drop to the downside, so it's not ideal, but it's okay. But I'm watching the S&P. S&P is the big one. All right, let's no, you know what? Let's jump to the US dollar, because the US dollar is very, very interesting. I have been saying for a little while that the US dollar is overbought. And we don't know where it's going to end, but I think it ended. We are finally fell out of that zone. The MACD should cross today or tomorrow on Monday. We had a huge bearish candle, and we have a very clear shooting star candle. So these are textbook reversal candles. We just had a pretty bad close at 98.34, and I believe the US dollar is finally ready to pull back. I might have called it a little bit early and prematurely. Those that are watching these videos, I think I did call it around here, but let me drop this. But also, if you look, it does look like an descending triangle, and that did meet its objective. But now it's not looking too great. You do have clear support at 98, and then another set of support at 97.50. So let's see how far that pullback is. I would love for that pullback to be back into the 97 range, and then we can go back up. My longer term projections for the US dollar, to those that may be watching this video for the first time, is once after it pulls back, is something like that. Okay, and I lost that one, but that's okay. Let's briefly look at the weekly. And we did have a bit of a bearish candle on the weekly, so a pullback back to the 50-day moving average would be ideal, maybe to the 97.60 area, and then we take off from there and test 100. So what are the ramifications of the falling US dollar? Well, gold has been trending to the upside, and like I've been saying for a few weeks now, gold was in the range of 1270. Let's make this yellow. And 1250. A break out of this range would indicate strength or weakness. And it's pretty clear that we broke out of this range. And since we did, I am looking for some upside, probably back to the 1300 area. But then I'm expecting the dollar to strengthen. So if the dollar strengthens, this projection might be a little premature, but I don't think gold's ready to break out yet. Maybe next year, and there might be one more low in place. How low? Hard to say. But let's see what happens when it reaches the 50-day moving average. A quick peek at the weekly. See if we're missing anything. Weekly isn't that strong. I mean, we have a very hard moving 200-week moving average going down. We are about to get sandwiched between the 50 and the 200. We might break out. So let's see. Our momentum, the MACD is still very, very bearish with no sign of reversal. The RSI is back to flat. So the weekly isn't really telling us all that much. A quick look at silver. I mean, I consider silver and gold to be fairly identical. I like to stick to gold only because it's a little less volatile and it's a little higher traded. I want to say that the range is tighter on this, but I really like my round numbers. 1750, and it's got to be 18. I mean, it's I know you can make a tighter range, but I like my round numbers. If we can break above 18, then I'll be confident that we can meet the 50-day moving average at only about 1850. But you have really serious resistance right here, and the 50 days coming down. So 1850 is serious resistance. The 200 days holding up silver. Your momentum is looking very, very strong. We went from overbought down to oversold. We crossed here, a little indecision here. Now we crossed a week or two ago. Might go up a little bit, but again, my projection for silver, once we break under 1750 and under the 200-day moving average, there'll probably be some more downside. All right, I forgot to preset oil, so WTIC. Let's take a look at oil. Oil's been a little messy. Oil's been a little messy. It's doing what we like, but unfortunately, I've already gone back and forth on oil. Okay, so here was the issue. My memory's pretty good, so I remember what I said. Around here, I went mentally bearish oil. This is where I said you have two reversal candles to the downside, and everything was topping out. So I was bearish. Now my stop loss line was the previous. Oops. Stop loss line was the previous close, around 51.50. We broke over that and closed above it. So that hits the stop loss. And it was a breakout because the weekly chart was still bullish. So this is where you could think that it's going to go higher and go long, but that 51, or yes, I'm pretty lenient with my stops. In this case, my 50 would have been my stop loss. And now that we went back and closed below 50, this sets up the short, which I initially expected here, but markets never do what we expect. So now I would be taking another trade here, and the 50-day is now higher. So this is a significantly less risk reward beneficial trade than before. But if we can break under the 50-day moving average, then we have plenty of room back to the 45 area, maybe even lower than that. So oil's been a little tough, at least for me anyway. The MACD has now crossed, showing us that bearish momentum is with us. RSI has crossed the 50, showing us bearish momentum is with us. A quick look at the weekly to see if I missed anything. And no, that is actually a pretty bearish looking weekly candle. And I do think oil has lost momentum, and would be nice to see oil come back down to the 50-week moving average, which, oh, come on. It's a little slow here. Which was just perfect textbook support and candlestick, just a perfect hammer surrounded by a big down candle, a big up candle. I mean, this would be, if I was writing a textbook on how to trade a bounce off of the 50-day moving average and using candlesticks to help you, this would be it. This was just beautiful. And now would be nice to see it come back down to that average one more time. And then we'll see. If we go below, maybe it's time for new lows. If we don't, we'll bounce back up, go back to 60 or 70. Okay, and finally, I don't really have much time, but again, this is the euro. My long-term prospects are the euro is that it will not exist in the near future. But again, if the dollar is showing weakness, the euro will show strength. So over here, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see a little bit of a bounce. It's hard to say where. Hopefully only to there. And then they're going to have their own elections in the near future with Merkel and Hollande. And then I love drawing this. I mean, this is your euro, ladies and gentlemen. If anyone's watching in Europe, please diversify into stronger currencies or other currencies altogether. That's my non-professional advice, but trade and use it at your own risk. A quick peek at GBP, actually. And I said I felt that the British pound was oversold. And I've mentioned already that if I was a currency trader, this would have been just insane capitulation that probably lost many people lots of money. Of course, those that were short and exited right could have made a lot of money. Now we've flattened out. I think that's it. I think that's a reasonable cross. And I think that going forward, it'll be the euro that's weak. The British pound will pull back up. I mean, yes, the strength of the US dollar will cause losses in the pound, but it should significantly outperform the euro. Let me see if I can do this. Pound versus the euro. I actually never even tried this. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so I actually really like this. I like the pound outperforming the euro. So I'm looking for this to go back up. The pound should be stronger than the euro by a significant amount. All right, and finally, since I'm already 20 minutes in, we have Bitcoin. So a few weeks ago, what I said was we had this bullish triangle. Okay, so we have this ascending triangle, and the target of this triangle, as you can see, we fell about 99, so $100 on Bitcoin, and then we broke out of this triangle at around 615, 620. So my target for the move was 720. I believe this is what I said a week ago, probably 2 even 3 weeks ago, whenever we actually broke out in early October. So my target was 720. My target was reached. So because the target was reached, I am looking for a bit of a pullback. I think Bitcoin is a little... I think Bitcoin is fairly difficult to trade because it's so erratic and it moves a lot. But look at this volume. Just look at this monster volume. We haven't seen this in a long, long time. I mean, people are very excited about Bitcoin again. And 720 was my target. At this point, between 720 and the recent high of around 750, no, even higher, about 775. So between 720 and 775, I think is a reasonable time to take some profits if you are an active trader in Bitcoin. And this is also a reason why I love my triangles. If you look at this yellow triangle, the symmetric triangle, the distance, I like using the close of day. Those that know, that's why I'm ignoring the wick. When I draw these triangles, I always ignore the wicks. But when it's time to meet your objectives, I kind of do factor in the wicks because it does give you a chance to exit or enter a position, even though I ignore them for long-term projections and long-term expectations. But your entries and exits are more short-term than your analysis. So when building the triangles, I always try to use the close of day, and we have a distance of $150. And I like to think of my symmetric triangles. I don't know which way they're going to go, but once they move, then that direction will probably stick. You can see it back here as well. And the fat part of the triangle is 150. And when we broke down, the wick went more than 150 to the downside. The close was less than 150. So it did, active traders did have a chance to exit around the $500 mark. And now we are, this is a day behind. This is yesterday's close on the BLX, which is the Brave New Coin Liquid Index, which I strongly recommend people use. It's fairly accurate. The data also goes back to 2010. You can find it on TradingView, though you need an exact. I'll leave that in the comments, or if someone inquires, I'll get that for you if you can't find it on your own. And I am looking for a bit of a pullback, and then we should go higher. Now, my ultimate long-term projections, this is a pretty big high, the 775. Once we can break above the 760 and 775, I think Bitcoin can seriously take off and challenge the $1,000 mark. But I would prefer some consolidation before the breakout. So if we break out into 800 like next week, I would consider that very heavily overbought, because if you look at the RSI, we were already overbought here. Now we're more overbought. I would love to see this condition alleviate. So if we stay in the 620 to 720 range till end of year, or maybe even dip below 600, it'll set up the perfect condition for a nice, huge move to the upside after the election when the dust settles. Some are attributing this move to the Chinese yuan devaluation. I'm a little skeptical of that. Others are attributing it to the US elections. Again, I'm a little skeptical of that. Bitcoin is a little too niche for the global markets at the moment. It still has its niche in the gray market area and probably stay there for a while. So I think this is a decent time if you're an active trader. Take a little profit. I did. And gearing up for the next leg up. I am long-term very, very bullish Bitcoin. All right. On that note, good luck trading next week. Don't forget the job statistics are out on Friday. So that's usually a bit of a volatility into the market. Okay. Good luck, guys. Oh, wait, I might have questions. Few live viewers. All right. I got 3 minutes for questions, guys. I know there's like a 30-second delay, so you should see this in a minute. There's live viewers. We have some Swedish people in the audience. What do I think about Litecoin? I don't think about Litecoin. All right, let's see. I think it's USD SEK. What that looks like. Yeah, it's USD SEK. Whoa. Krona has been really falling, huh? Yeah, that's a weekly chart. That's at an all-time. Does that look right? Yeah, 9-1. No kidding. Yeah, that's at an all-time high. However, let me quickly. So this is a weekly chart. So here's what I see. Now, we haven't turned around yet, but this was a pretty massive oversold condition, but this was that devaluation because they actually, I'm not sure what the Swedish krona was doing then. Not my market. I'm just a tech guy. So we're about to go overboard again. And here's what I see. I see a lower RSI reading, see a lower MACD reading, and a higher price reading. So the price is lying to you in these situations. So I think this thing is going to reverse. Okay. I wouldn't bet on it. but it's definitely due for a pullback. Okay, so if you get a reversal candle, definitely watch out for a pullback. All right, let's see. Do you think it's smart to stay out of the stock market until the election and reevaluate after? Has the market priced in a Hillary win? No, the market has not priced in a Hillary win. If it did, we would be at all-time highs. The market also has not priced in a Trump win, because if it did, we would be like at least 10% lower in the market. So the market is still undecided. You can play the market, in my opinion, or I will, based on who I think would win. So I'm thinking that Trump would win. So I am lining up for a stock market mini crash right after a Trump win, and then bounce from there. So that's kind of how I'm looking to play it. Now, I could be wrong two ways. I could be wrong that Hillary wins and Trump doesn't win, and then the market would fly up. I could also be totally wrong and the unexpected happens, which is the opposite. A Trump win, market goes up. A Hillary win, market kind of has a mini crash. I don't expect that. I have a lower probability of that. My probability is a Trump win and a market fall temporarily and then reverse. I could be wrong on that. Again, if you are trading, make sure you're only trading money you're willing to lose on small parts of your portfolio. I am an options trader, so I will be buying some puts and calls during this area, and we'll see how we all do. Let's see, any other questions? What alts do you own, if any? Unfortunately, I still own some Dash that I've just been too lazy to sell. It's not a lot. It's very, very little. I only plan in my mind. I only hold Bitcoin just because I have some alt from my dumber days from years back. Doesn't mean that I believe in them. It just means I'm too lazy to get around and selling them. But I will. Is it too late to buy Bitcoin? It's never too late to buy Bitcoin. I think it has an amazing upside. Just buy it in moderation. If you're not an active trader, just throw 1/4 of your paycheck at Bitcoin. Every paycheck, maybe 0.5% of your paycheck at Bitcoin every paycheck. Something small, something you are willing to lose. But I think it's a great asset. Let's see. In Sweden, they want the people that SEK will lose value. Maybe Iceland incident. I don't know. I'm not. I've never been to that part of the world. The closest I've got was like Amsterdam, so I'm not an expert on the Swedish currency. What about Zcash? There's a whole video on my blog about Zcash. Please go and check it out. It is. It's reaching levels of stupid I didn't think were possible, and I don't believe will ever be beaten. But I will be proven wrong next month. There'll be a stupider version of Zcash. It's unbelievable. When should I expect by the altcoin dip? Guys, I don't believe in altcoins. Since Bitcoin was rising and alts go down, then recover. I don't believe in altcoins, guys. I'm the last person to talk about altcoins. You can bet on Trump on Nitrogen Sports. With Bitcoin, get 5-to-1 odds. Oh, whoa! So that's pretty good. Whoa! So you get 5-to-1 odds if you betting on Trump? Oh, I might do that. My Russian friend hacker saying the internet goes offline for a while. I don't believe in conspiracy theories, guys. So the question that people think that the internet's going to go down in 2017. If I believed in that, I'd be living in a bunker. So I wake up in the morning. I have two assumptions: Bitcoin is alive and well. Internet is alive and well. Those are my assumptions. And the sun has risen. With the planet hasn't frozen over. I don't even believe in like man-made global warming. So I don't believe in conspiracy theories.